G'day and welcome back to Trippin' at Oz. I would just like to say a big thanks to those that have already subscribed and are still watching. And if you're new and you enjoy, you can subscribe and hit the notification bell. It is free and would help us out if you could please share with your family and friends. Now this is episode 6 and is our trip to the Fitzroy River, where we encounter some unwanted problems but still
find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be yours. One day I'll be yours. One day I'll be yours. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life changes just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always be yours. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you.
Anyway, we were lucky and found a spot with heaps of shade and set up camp. After setting up camp, Karen relaxed with her book for a while and I had a quick flick and with some soft plastics. I could see a few small barra going up and down the bank, but they just didn't seem interested. That night, after having a great burger and a few beers and wines, we had a quick outdoor shower and checked over the car and the battery status and noticed that the new lithium battery in the car was already down to 80%. And I was surprised because it never went down to less than 98. I checked the fridge and it was still running, so I thought, well, it's still got heaps in it, it will be alright. So I climbed into bed and listened to music while Karen read her book and chatted to her friends and family on Messenger. As the night went on, we could hear lots of wildlife still, even though it was dark. Anyway, we turned off our electronics and we could hear something that sounded like a frog or a bird. They were very loud, chatting to each other up and down the river. After about an hour, around 11 o'clock, I recorded them and googled what they could be, and it turns out they were a barking owl. Made me think of Owlie. As the times went on, it became quite annoying and not letting up, so I decided to imitate them and see what they would do. Unfortunately, they just answered back. And it was then I just very loudly and angrily imitated the first bark. And wow, they shut up. Karen and I just about fell out of bed laughing. So they stayed quiet for about 10 minutes and then started up again. So I decided to nip it in the bud, and then there was complete silence. This time it stayed quiet until the sun was about to come up. Only after the silence did we finally get some sleep. That morning when I awoke after a coffee, I noticed the battery was a lot lower than I expected. So I decided to go for a drive and charge the battery. I drove for about 15 minutes up the track and decided to put up the drone and leave the car running to charge. I also threw out some chicken pellets, hoping to get some cherubim. After flying the drone, I thought I'll throw the net a few times, but there was nothing in there. So I decided to go for a drive again to get more charge into the battery. I drove another 15 minutes up the track. I could see a little creek over in the bush, and it looked promising, so I made my way over carefully as there was no track. The water was muddy colour and I couldn't see the bottom. However, I could see over the other side and there was a 6-foot salty watching me. Anyway, I thought I'll throw some pellets out and I'll have a flick with a rod. And funnily enough, first cast, I caught a fish. Wow, it was a catfish and it was smaller than the soft plastic. I thought, keep going, if there's a smaller fish there is a bigger fish. Anyway, I tried for another half an hour, but nothing more. I then thought, time to throw the throw net out. First throw, went to pull the net in, and just my luck, it got snagged. And it was out about 5 feet, and I thought about going in, but it was quite deep, and I could see that croc watching me. I tried for about 10 minutes to get the net free, and ended up tearing it to shreds, just to get it out, as I didn't want to leave it there and litter. I decided to leave as I was pretty upset. A brand new net. Cost me $90, I've used it twice. Anyway, when I reached the car, I went to grab a drink. And oh shit, the fridge was not cold. All the food was floating in what was a bag of muleys that had thawed out. I reached in to check the plug and it hadn't come out, but it was still in and the light was on. As I reached down, the heat coming from the back of the fridge was so hot I couldn't touch it. I unplugged it and headed back to camp. When I arrived back at camp, because I'd unplugged the fridge, the battery had charged up, so I knew straight away the battery was okay. But there was a fridge issue, so I pulled the fridge out of the car and set it on the table, cleaned it out, transferred it all over. It was only a 35 litre. Anyway, I pulled the cover off the back to see if there was anything noticeable. It was still that hot I couldn't touch it, so I let it cool down. Anyway, I decided I'd grab another plug and try that. It was a cigarette lighter type. I plugged that in and it started working again, so I put it back in the car, plugged it back into the Anderson type plug, and it threw a code straight away. I then checked all the fuses and earths and stuff like that with nothing to be seen to be working. So I decided to change it plug to an Anderson plug. I then started looking for my tools and stuff, and I found another actual Anderson plug, one which I'd made before, plugged that in. And it seemed to be working, but after about 10 minutes it turned off. And I couldn't understand why, but then I seen the voltage was really low. The battery had gone flat by that stage. So I left it in the morning. We got up, we decided to just look for another fridge. We tried Derby, tried Broome, found one in Broome, drove all the way to Broome to pick it up, and there wasn't actually one there. And by this time the battery had charged and the fridge had actually switched back on by itself. So we decided to stay the night. We stayed at the Roebuck Plains Caravan Park and caught up with John and Daryl. Then just when we got up in the morning, it was still working fine and the battery was only at 98% again, which was normal. So we decided to risk it, see how it goes, and maybe pick up a fridge in Kununurra if we need to. Well, that's the end of episode 6 and our unwanted problems at the Fitzroy River. It was a great place to stay and we did enjoy staying there overall. Anyway, thanks for watching and stay tuned for our next episode as we head to the famous Bungle Bungle National Park. Now if you enjoyed, hit the like button, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of the next episode.